All right, so this is going to be an explanation of the British parliamentary debating format. So how is it exactly different from the Asian parliamentary format that normally debaters are familiar with? If you need an extended explanation of this, like a more detailed version, there's a link in the description. In the same channel, I have uploaded another video, which is more of an elaborated version of this quick explanation I'll be doing in this video. Right, okay. So first of all, let's see about the Asian parliamentary format, that what you're normally familiar with. Okay, so these are how it normally works, right? You have the government side, you have the opposition side. So first of all, two teams debating against one another over a motion to see whether the motion stays or falls, right? Whether the government wins or the opposition wins. So each team has three speakers. This picture, of course, doesn't really say all the names. It normally goes as the prime minister. Then you have the leader of opposition, deputy prime minister, deputy leader of opposition, then the government whip and the opposition whip, followed by a reply speech by the opposition and a reply speech by the government. So this is the format that you all are normally familiar with, right? So we are about to look into the British parliamentary format, and we need to see how this is exactly different. How exactly this is different from the Asian parliamentary format, right? Okay, so just to summarize the format that you all are already familiar with, Asian parliamentary debates or world school debating format. So there's basically government versus opposition, three debaters on each side, and it's a matter of deciding whether the motion stays or falls. That means whether the government wins or the opposition wins, right? Two teams going on one another, one team wins, one team loses. Simple as that, right? So when you move on to the British Parliament debating format, first of all, yes, there's government and opposition. For someone who watches the debate from outside, it would appear as if just another government versus opposition debate. But in this, you have four debaters for the government side and four debaters for the opposition side, right? So rather than checking whether the motion stays or falls, it's a matter of deciding which side did their job the best. Okay. Now, so as you can see, there are 8 debaters involved in this debate compared to the 6 debaters in the Asian Parliament, right? In Asian Parliament, you had 6 debaters where you have 3 versus 3. Here it's 4 versus 4. Government side has 4 speakers, opposition side has 4 speakers. Other than that, there are 4 teams also in this. So there are 8 debaters and 4 teams. That means instead of going 2 teams against one another, here you have 4 teams going on against each other, and it is a matter of deciding who comes first, who comes second, who comes third, who comes fourth. All right, this sounds a little too complex. Let me explain it to you. This is what the structure would look like, right? So the government side, or you can call it proposition, has 4 speakers, as you can see, right? Government side has 4 speakers: prime minister, deputy prime minister. Of course, the government whip, as you all are familiar with. There's a new addition to the debate that you have a member of the government. That means like someone in between the deputy speaker, deputy prime minister and the whip, right? Normally, after deputy prime minister, you have the government whip, but in between, you can see that there is another speaker, which is why that you have 4 debaters for each side. Okay. So as you can see, the government side is consisted of 2 teams, opening government and closing government. Opposition side is also consisted of opening opposition and closing opposition. All right. So I'll just explain this a little further with this. Right. This was made by one of my students, Yevan. So I'm using his presentation here. Right. Deputy Prime Minister, Prime Minister, Deputy Prime Minister, Member of Government, Government Whip. Opposition side goes as Leader of Opposition, Deputy Leader of Opposition, Member of Opposition, Opposition Whip. So the debate starts with the Prime Minister making the speech for the government side, followed by the Opposition Leader's speech, then Deputy Prime Minister speech, then Deputy Leader of Opposition, then Member of Government speaks, then the Member of Opposition speaks, then the Government Whip speaks, then the Opposition Whip speaks. There are no reply speeches in this debate. All right. So kind of like the Asian Parliament, it's government versus opposition, but in the government, there are two teams who have teamed up as the government, as the opening government and the closing government. So keep in mind that this is one team. Opening government is one team. Closing government is another team. All right. So going back to that previous slide I had. Right. So now, as I told you here, rather than checking whether the motion stays or motion falls, whether checking whether the government won or opposition won, it's a matter of checking who did their job the best. All right. So normally, I assume that if you're watching this video that you are somewhat familiar with debating, right? So what is the task of someone who speaks earlier in a debate? If you are the first speaker of a debate, what is sort of your duty? To bring in more constructive arguments, right? Your duty is to bring in more constructive argument and lay down some concrete facts for your side, right? And what is your duty? What is your task if you are going in the latter part? If you are going as a third speaker, as a whip speaker, what is your duty? To handle more rebuttals, right? Rebut what the other side said. Emphasize what your opening speakers mentioned. So here what we do is for the government side, we divide that. Opening government's duty, Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister should bring good concrete arguments for the government side. Opposition side, open opposition, these two speakers should bring good concrete arguments for the opposition side, right? And sort of try to rebut what the government side said. On the other hand, closing government, they need to rebut what opening opposition said and sort of extend what your opening government side said. Closing opposition also the same. So it's a matter of checking whether the opening government did their job as the first half of the government, whether they did their job by bringing in proper content. And you check whether the opening opposition did bring solid content for the opposition side. Then you check whether the closing opposition did what the last speakers of the government should be doing. Whether did they rebut the points brought up by the opposition, whether they properly extend whatever that was laid out by the opening government, and all that. Closing opposition side also, you check whether they properly extended what the opening opposition brought up, whether they properly rebutted whatever the government brought up. So checking whether they did their duty well as like the latter part of speakers or for the opposition side. So what the adjudicators have to do is, rather than checking whether government did well or the opposition did well, it's a matter of checking who did their job well. Now, there can be a situation where opening government did bring in really good content, but the closing government didn't handle the rebuttals properly, right? Now, in a normal standard debate, in a normal Asian parliamentary debate, what you all are familiar with, right? Let's get this picture here, right? Now, imagine the first speaker brings in like excellent content for the government side. Third speaker does really bad as the government whip, right? So that can cost the debate to the government side. Like the opposition may win, although the first speaker really brought up excellent points. The third speaker didn't do well by handling the rebuttals and the clash points. So in that case, the government would lose. But here in this British format, keep in mind, there are two parts to the government side. So if the opening government did well by bringing in excellent content, and if the closing government didn't do well by rebutting and handling clash points, that means the opening government gets the credit. Opening government may come first in this race because they did their part to the perfection in the debate, and the closing government may come fourth. They may come last because they didn't do their job properly. Okay, so it's a matter of checking who came first, who came second, who came third, and who came fourth. Right. So let's go for an example. Right now, imagine these four countries are France, Britain, Australia, and USA. Let's say, imagine that these four countries are debating. Right. First, you need to put a draw. Keep in mind that when you're putting a draw in an Asian parliamentary format, it's a matter of whether you get government or opposition, simple as that. But here you need to check whether you get open government, whether you get closing government, whether you get opening opposition or closing opposition, right? And your team would have only 2 members. You will only have 1 teammate with you. Okay. Now imagine like this. USA gets to go as the opening government. Australia gets to go open opposition. France gets to go closing government, and Britain gets to go closing opposition. So keep in mind that you have to prep alone, right? All 4 speakers, all 4 members of the government do not get to prep together, right? So in this case, the 2 speakers for USA would be prepping separately, and they should think what sort of arguments we can actually bring, right? You guys know the prime minister, the first speaker, sort of like can bring a context, bring a framework, right? So it's very important what the prime minister has to speak about, because that sort of leads the direction to the entire debate. So if you are going opening opposition here, the American 2 speakers, they have the responsibility of like properly defining the motion and sort of like laying the proper context. So that's their duty, right? And on the other hand, you have the opening opposition Australia. So they sort of have to lay the foundation for the opposition side, sort of like show whatever the burden of proof they have. And they will have to sort of handle whatever the rebuttals, whatever that the opening government brings, they will have to handle those rebuttals. And then when the closing government gets their turn to speak, two French speakers, they will have to extend what the Americans said, right? They will have to sort of like extend what those arguments are. Imagine if Americans brought up an excellent argument, but they didn't really explain. So they just mentioned the argument in 2-3 sentences and moved on, right? And there was a lot of analysis that they could have done, but they didn't. So the French speakers could actually extend that argument to the next level, so that they would be given marks for that. They would be credited for extending that argument. Now imagine the US speakers would be like, okay, we need to protect the environment, otherwise there will be consequences. And they just move on to the next point, right? So the French speakers would be like, okay, you know what, we need to protect the environment, as our prime minister said. And these are the consequences it may have. If we don't protect the environment, there can be like, glaciers melting and sea levels rising and air pollution and ecosystems being damaged and others. So the analogy is actually brought up by the closing opposition. So, sorry, closing government. So in that case, they will be credited for extending an argument. Okay. Same goes to the 2 British speakers. They will have to close the case for the opposition, right? So in very simple basic terms, opening government has to open the case for the government. Closing government will have to close the case for the government. Opening opposition will have to open the case for the opposition. Closing opposition will have to close the case for the opposition. And then the adjudicators check who did their job the best, right? Adjudicators, their job is to, their duty is to check, okay, you know what, I feel like this particular team did extremely well. They did their job, although that their closing members didn't do a good job. Something like that. Okay. Now, for example, this is how you get the verdict. You don't have a winner and a loser in these debates. You have a first place, second place, third place, and a fourth place. Right? Whoever did their job the best comes first. Right? Whoever did their job the worst comes fourth, and similarly you choose the third then second. Okay, so that is the way that this format normally works. If I explain the speaker roles once more using this, okay, here that you have the prime minister. Prime minister starts off the speech, and you have to define the motion and bring up the main arguments, right? Normally, the government side, you go with 3 arguments, but here, since you only have 2 speeches, right? You only have your speech and your teammate's speech, right? So you don't sort of pile up a lot of content. You normally go with like 2 arguments. Okay. So the prime minister has to define the motion, define the key terms, and like give a framework if necessary, and provide the 2 arguments. Then the leader of opposition gets a second speech. And in that speech, if there are any key rebuttals of the prime minister's speech, then you have to handle that. And then you need to bring your arguments for your opposition side. Then we go to deputy prime minister's speech, right? Deputy prime minister gets a third speech. So the deputy prime minister will have to rebut all the key points of the leader of opposition speech. Why? Because the opening government will not get another speech after this. When the third speech is done, the opening government is done with their speeches. You don't get another chance, right? So you have to rebut whatever the key points of the leader of opposition speech and further elaborate whatever the arguments brought up by your prime minister. Then we move on to the fourth speech, deputy leader of opposition. Now, similarly, this is the last speech the opening opposition gets, right? This is the last speech the opening opposition gets. After that, it's going to be the closing opposition. They are not your own team members, right? So because of that, you need to rebut all the key points brought up by the prime minister and the deputy prime minister, because you don't get another chance to rebut those, right? So you rebut all the key points brought up by them and you further elaborate whatever your leader of opposition said, right? Then we are done with the opening benches. Then we move on to the closing benches. The fifth speech will be handled by the member of government. Okay. So the member of government can actually bring up one new argument. Now, as I told you, normally in Asian parliamentary or world school debates, we go with 3 arguments for the government side, right? But here I told you the prime minister and the deputy prime minister only will come up with 2 arguments because they won't have a lot of time. They only have 2 speeches, right? So because of that, the member of government can bring a third argument. Now, it is challenging when you are prepping. If you are going as a closing government, you sort of need to assume. You need to assume because you don't get to prep together. You don't get to prep with the opening government. If you are going as a closing government, you will sort of have to assume, you know what, I feel like the opening government will come up with these 2 arguments because those 2 are the very basic things they will have to say. They might not mention this argument. So we'll provide that as a third argument. So you need to assume and you sort of need to adjust your arguments according to how the opening benches work, right? So you listen to the 2 opening government speeches. With that, you adjust your speech and you need to bring in one new argument. Other than that, you can add extensions to the arguments already brought up by your prime minister and the deputy prime minister, like to another level of analysis. So, you can steal a point from the arguments brought up by the opening government people. And you can rebut whatever the leader of opposition and the deputy leader of opposition said. Then we move on to the 6th speech, member of opposition. So here also, you can bring in one new argument for the opposition side, one new argument, something that wasn't brought up by the opening opposition, and you can extend whatever your opening opposition people said, like you can extend their arguments, and of course rebut whatever the members of the government and the prime minister and the deputy prime minister, whatever they said, you can rebut those. Then we move on to government whip, 7th speech. Now this is the last speech for the government. So you need to sort of like elaborate what your teammate said, what the member of government said, that new argument that your teammate brought up, you need to elaborate that further and you need to rebut whatever the remaining points of opening opposition people and the closing opposition person said, right? Whatever the remaining points of the opposition, you have to rebut those. And of course, you need to give a clash point analysis. This is typically similar to a whip speech. Then, of course, we move on to the last speech, opposition whip speech. Again, you can elaborate the new argument brought up by the member of opposition, your teammate, and you can rebut whatever the remaining standing points of the opening government and the closing government, and you give a clash point analysis, and that's the end of the debate, right? So at the end of the debate, the adjudicators will decide whether the prime minister and the deputy prime minister did a good job by bringing in the basic concepts, defining and all that, whether the opening opposition did a good job by bringing in the key points for the opening opposition side, whether the closing government did a good job by bringing in new content, extending whatever the opening people said and rebutting and giving clash points, and whether the closing opposition did a good job bringing in one new argument and extending what the opening people said, rebutting and providing clash point analysis. So based on their performance, all the speakers will be scored, and depending on the score, one of these four teams will get the first position, highest scored team, lowest scored team will get the fourth position, and similarly, the second and third positions will also be given. So just to emphasize again, these debates do not have a winner or a loser. They have a first place, second place, third place, and a fourth place. All right. One more important thing is POIs, right? So if one person is speaking, he may get POIs from any of the four people who's in the other team. Now, for example, if the deputy prime minister is speaking, right? Let's say the third speech is going, deputy prime minister is speaking. Leader of opposition, deputy leader of opposition, member of opposition, or opposition whip, any of these four people may ask a POI, right? But when you ask the POI, now, of course, in physical debates, this is not a problem, like, because you can see who raises the hand. So you clearly see whether the POI is coming from the opening opposition or closing opposition. But since in these online debates, because it's like happening over a mic or a chat box, we normally advise the person who asks the POI to specify which team they are from. So if the opposition whip is asking a POI, you would say POI closing opposition. Or if the leader opposition is asking the POI, you'll be like POI opening opposition. That way, the adjudicators will know which team asked the POIs, because like asking POIs is also another thing that, you know, that can get marks for your team, right? So when you are taking a POI also, you may specify which team you want the POI from. Okay, I would take the POI from the opening opposition now. Okay, I would take a POI from the closing opposition now. So normally, this is not a must, but normally it is advised for you to take two POIs during your speech, one from each opening and closing sides that who's standing in front of you. All right. Okay, so these are the basic things. As I mentioned before, there's an extended version of this explanation. The link is in the description. And if you have any questions, you can drop a comment and I will answer those.